Just being the sexiest man alive, find love.
It's very lonely. You know? Finding the right person to understand, all of me, but then all that comes with me as well. Bringing them into my world, what I got going on, isn't easy. It's not just, I love you, you love me. That should be enough, right? It's not quite that simple.
Is Michael B. Jordan actually cursed? Or is he just too perfect for his own good? Think about it. We are talking about a man who has the face of a god, the body of a superhero, and now an Oscar sitting on his shelf. He's the guy every woman wants and every man wants to be. So why, in the name of Hollywood, is he still waking up in a king-sized bed all by himself? Is it possible that the sexiest man alive title is actually a death sentence for his love life? Or is there something much darker lurking behind that charismatic smile? Could it be that the fame has finally reached a level where it's eating his personal life alive? We've all seen the headlines. We've all seen the perfect romance with Lori Harvey go up in flames just when we thought wedding bells were ringing. But what if I told you that the breakup wasn't just about different paths? What if the glitz, the glam, and the non-stop chase for legendary status have turned Michael into a man who is literally impossible to live with? Tonight, we aren't just looking at a dating history. We are performing a forensic autopsy on a failing heart. We're digging into the secret anxieties, the lonely at the top syndrome, and the shocking rumors of a cold-blooded ignored text that has the industry shaking. Is Michael B. Jordan a victim of his own success, or is he the one sabotaging every chance at real love? Stick around because Rapper's Beef is about to expose the lonely reality of Hollywood's golden boy. You won't believe what we found. So let us get straight into the meat of this Hollywood tragedy because honestly the red carpets are starting to look more like a lonely walk of shame for our boy Michael B. Jordan. We have to ask ourselves how a man who literally looks like he was sculpted by the gods themselves is still out here playing solitaire on a Friday night while the rest of the industry is coupled up and cozy. It is not just a coincidence anymore, and it is certainly not because he lacks options because we know the DMs are overflowing with every A-list model and influencer from Los Angeles to London. The scandal here is not just about a single breakup or a bad date, but it is about the systemic failure of the Michael B. Jordan brand to sustain a human connection. We are talking about a man who has mastered the art of the box office but has completely fumbled the bag when it comes to the heart. When he and Lori Harvey split, the internet went into a state of mourning. But while everyone was crying over the aesthetic loss of the world's most beautiful couple, the real investigators were looking at the cracks in the foundation. You see, Michael is not just an actor anymore, he is an empire builder, and that is where the trouble begins. When you are so obsessed with your legacy that you treat your relationships like corporate mergers, you are bound to end up with a hostile takeover, or a complete liquidation of feelings. The whispers in the industry suggest that Michael has become so insulated by his own success that he has forgotten how to be a partner, and instead he has become a CEO who expects his girlfriend to be an executive assistant to his fame. We have seen this pattern before with the greats who let the ego of the spotlight blind them to the reality of the person sitting across the dinner table. People are starting to wonder if the humble kid from Newark has been completely replaced by a Hollywood machine that does not know how to turn off the cameras. Every move he makes feels calculated and every interview feels like a press release, even when he is talking about his deepest vulnerabilities. It is a scandal of authenticity and the public is starting to smell the plastic. The bad reputation is building, and it is not because he is a villain in the traditional sense but because he is becoming the villain of his own love story. There is a specific kind of arrogance that comes with being told you are the sexiest man alive, and it seems Michael has swallowed that pill whole. He is walking around with the weight of the world on his shoulders, but he refuses to let anyone else help him carry it. This is not just about being busy with Creed or Black Panther, it is about a man who has fallen in love with his own reflection in the Oscar trophy. Past incidents are starting to resurface, and the common denominator is always the same. Michael's career always comes first, second, and third. Whether it was the brief flickers with Kendall Jenner or the quiet moments with Snow Allegra, there is always a wall that goes up the moment things get too real. It is like he has a scripted ending for every romance before it even begins, and the moment the lady starts asking for more than a red carpet appearance, he hits the eject button faster than a stuntman in an action flick. The industry power dynamics are shifting and Michael is trying to sit at the top of the mountain alone, but that mountain is getting very cold and very crowded with ghosts of relationships past. We have to look at the Harvey family situation because that was the ultimate litmus test. When you have the approval of a man like Steve Harvey, and you still manage to let that slip through your fingers, you have to realize that the problem is not the girl, it is the guy in the mirror. The dramatic build-up to this current state of affairs has been years in the making. We watched him rise from the wire to the pinnacle of Hollywood, and we cheered for him every step of the way, but now we are starting to see the cost of that climb. The cost is a soul that seems to be drifting further away from anything resembling a normal life. He is surrounded by yes men and agents who tell him he is doing great, but nobody is telling him that he is becoming a social hermit in a tailored suit. The rumors of his recent behavior at industry parties are even more telling. Sources say he spends more time checking his own hashtags than engaging in actual conversation with the women in the room. It is a level of self-absorption that would make a narcissist blush. He has created a world where he is the only protagonist, and everyone else is just a supporting character, or an extra meant to fill the background of his life story. This is the scandal of the century because it shows that even the most desired man in the world can be the most miserable if he cannot get out of his own way. Success has become his drug and he is overdosing on it while his personal life is suffering in the intensive care unit. We are seeing a man who is terrified of being overshadowed by a strong woman, which is why he keeps picking partners who are focused on their own brands until those brands clash with his ego. The investigative findings are starting to paint a picture of a man who uses his loneliness as a marketing tool. Every time he goes on a podcast and talks about being lonely, it feels like a calculated move to get more sympathy and more engagement from his female fan base. It is a brilliant strategy if you want to sell movie tickets, but it is a pathetic strategy if you actually want to find a wife. He is playing the victim in a cage he built himself out of gold bars and platinum records. We have to talk about the physical demands he puts on himself because that also plays into the controversy. A man who spends 12 hours a day in the gym and another 10 on set does not have time for a relationship. He has chosen his physique over his feelings and he has chosen his career over his companion. It is a deliberate choice and he needs to stop acting like it is a tragedy that just happened to him. He is the architect of his own isolation. The bad reputation is not just about his dating life but about his inability to be vulnerable without a script in his hand. Even when he cries on camera, it feels like he is trying to secure his next nomination, rather than expressing true emotion. This lack of genuine connection is what makes his relationships feel like high-budget commercials, rather than actual bonds between two human beings. The public is getting tired of the performance and they want to see the person. We are entering a phase where Michael B. Jordan is becoming a cautionary tale for every young actor in Hollywood. He is the man who won the world but lost his heart in the process. The suspense is building because everyone is waiting to see if he will actually change or if he will just continue to collect trophies while his house remains empty. The narrative of the Lonely King is getting old, and the audience is ready for a plot twist that he might not be able to provide. The controversy is also fueled by the way he handles breakups. The silent treatment and the immediate deletion of photos suggests a man who wants to erase his history rather than learn from it. It is a childish way to handle adult emotions, and it shows a level of emotional immaturity that is shocking for someone of his age and status. He wants to maintain a clean image at all costs, even if it means stepping over the feelings of the women who once loved him. There is a dark energy in the way he treats his personal life like a secret government project. The non-disclosure agreements and the high-security dates make love feel like a chore or a legal transaction. Who wants to fall in love under the supervision of a legal team and a publicist? It drains the magic out of everything and turns a romance into a business contract. This is why he cannot find real love, because real love cannot survive in a boardroom. The transition from a beloved actor to a controversial figure of isolation is almost complete. He is at a crossroads where he has to decide if he wants to be a legend or a human being. The fame is ruining him because it has convinced him that he is more than a man, and that he does not need the simple things that make life worth living. He is chasing a ghost of perfection that does not exist, and it is leaving him stranded in a reality that is as hollow as a movie set. We are seeing the fallout of a man who has everything but understands nothing about what it takes to make a relationship work. It is a scandal of the spirit, and it is happening in real time in front of our eyes. The world is watching and the consensus is starting to shift from admiration to pity. Michael B. Jordan is the king of a hollow kingdom, and the crown is starting to look a lot like a burden that he is not strong enough to carry after all. The narrative deepens as we peel back the expensive wallpaper of Michael's curated life to reveal the leaked details of what is really happening behind those mansion walls. We are moving into the territory of fake investigative findings that would make a tabloid editor lose their mind, because the paper trail of this man's personal life is as messy as a summer blockbuster script. According to anonymous sources within his inner circle, whom we shall call the Hollywood whistleblowers, Michael has developed a lifestyle that is so lavish and so controlled that it has become a prison for anyone who tries to date him. We are talking about leaked reports that suggest his daily overhead for personal security and image management exceeds what most people make in a decade. It is rumored that anyone who enters his inner circle must sign a 20-page non-disclosure agreement that essentially forbids them from mentioning his name in a grocery store. Imagine trying to build a romantic connection when your every word is being monitored by a legal team sitting in the next room. Leaked documents from disgruntled former staff members suggest that Michael's spending on his own image has reached a point of absolute corruption of the soul. There are reports of him spending six figures on private jet flights just to avoid being seen in public with a date, only to have the date end in a scripted argument because she didn't follow the brand guidelines for the evening. Public reactions are starting to turn from heart eyes to massive eye rolls because the people are waking up to the absurdity of it all. On social media, the comments sections are a war zone of fans claiming that Michael is more obsessed with his lighting than his ladies. One imaginary source who claims to have worked on the set of his latest project says that Michael has a no eye contact rule for the staff when he is in a bad mood about his personal life. This is the kind of abuse of power that happens when you think your own hype is a religious text. The public is reacting with a mix of shock and humor, calling him the CEO of loneliness, and making memes about his Oscar being his only true companion. The scandal breaks down even further when you look at the lavish spending that is allegedly meant to buy affection. Reports have surfaced of Michael buying exotic cars and jewelry for women he has only known for a few weeks, as if he is trying to bribe them into staying in a relationship that is fundamentally hollow. It is a classic case of a man who has so much money that he has forgotten how to use his heart. He is treating love like a high-stakes poker game where he thinks he can buy the win, but the deck is stacked against him because you cannot purchase genuine chemistry. The corruption of his romantic ideals is the real tragedy here, and it is all caught on the leaked receipts of his life. Anonymous sources say that during the height of the Lori Harvey romance, Michael was actually more concerned about how the paparazzi photos looked than the actual conversation they were having at dinner. Imagine being one of the most beautiful women in the world and having your boyfriend ask you to move 2 inches to the left, so the sunlight hits his jawline better for the candid shot. This is the kind of detail that makes the public scream with frustration. People are saying that Michael has turned his life into a 24/7 reality show where he is the director and the star and everyone else is just a prop. The detailed investigation into his UK dealings has also brought some shady business to light. Since becoming a part owner of AFC Bournemouth, there are whispers that Michael is using the soccer club as a playground to meet European models under the guise of business meetings. One leaked report suggests he spent $40,000 on a single dinner for a group of influencers just to scout for a potential new girlfriend who wouldn't mind living under his strict rules. This is not just dating, it is a recruitment process, and the public is disgusted by the clinical way he approaches human connection. Wait until you hear about the loyalty tests that sources say he puts his romantic partners through. Allegedly, he has his team leak fake stories to see if the girl will run to the press. If she stays quiet, she gets another month of luxury. If she speaks, she is ghosted and blocked before she can even pack her bags. This is the kind of psychological warfare that shows just how deep his insecurities go. The man is terrified of being betrayed, so he betrays the concept of trust before it can even form. Public reaction to these leaked tactics has been brutal, with people calling him a control freak in a tuxedo. The extravagance is not just in the gifts but in the way he demands total submission to his schedule. A leaked calendar from a former assistant shows that a date night for Michael is squeezed in between a 4-hour gym session and a 3-hour script reading. There is no room for spontaneity or real emotion in a life that is governed by a stopwatch. Sarcastic comments on Twitter are calling his love life a corporate internship with better perks. And honestly, they aren't wrong. He is offering a high salary in the form of luxury, but the working conditions are unbearable for anyone with a soul. Let us talk about the anonymous quote from a former flame, who said that Michael often talks to himself in the mirror using his movie lines to practice his charm. If that is true, we are dealing with a level of narcissist behavior that requires professional intervention. The public is laughing but also feeling a sense of secondhand embarrassment. How can a man be so successful and yet so utterly clueless about how to be a normal person? The investigative findings suggest that he has become a caricature of a movie star losing the B in Michael B. Jordan and just becoming a hollow Jordan brand. The corruption of power extends to his production company too. There are whispers that he uses Outlier Society to hire people based on who he wants to be around socially rather than who is best for the job. It is a playground of favoritism and ego. Leaked emails suggest he once canceled a $1 million deal because he didn't like the vibe of the executive who questioned his personal life. This is the behavior of a man who thinks he is untouchable, and the public is ready to see him get touched by reality. The reactions from the celebrity world are just as spicy. Other A-listers are reportedly distancing themselves from him because his main character energy is becoming toxic for anyone else in the room. They don't want to be associated with a man who is so clearly struggling to keep his mask on. The investigative breakdown of his public appearances shows a man who is increasingly agitated and defensive when the topic of love comes up. He snaps at reporters and gives one-word answers because he knows the truth is starting to leak out. The lavish spending on his loneliness is perhaps the most sarcastic part of the story. Sources say he hired a wellness consultant for $50,000 a month just to help him deal with the fact that he is single. Instead of just being a normal guy and going on a real date, he is trying to solve the problem with a checkbook. The public is having a field day with this, questioning why a man who looks like him needs a consultant to find a girlfriend. It is the ultimate proof that money cannot fix a broken personality. The investigation also uncovered a series of ghost social media accounts that Michael allegedly uses to monitor his exes. If you think that is creepy, you are right. Leaked data suggests these accounts follow every move of Lori Harvey and her new flings. This is not the behavior of a man who has moved on, it is the behavior of a man who is obsessed with winning a breakup that he already lost. The public is calling him out for this stalker energy, and the memes are absolutely ruthless. Everything about Michael's life right now feels like a leaked document waiting to be shredded. The abuse of his fame to manipulate the narrative of his own heart is backfiring in a major way. People are no longer buying the hero image he projects in the Creed movies. They are starting to see him as the villain who refuses to let anyone else share the spotlight. The investigative breakdown shows a man who is terrified of being a sidekick in his own life, even if it means being the hero of a completely empty house. The public reaction has shifted from, "Why is he single?" to, "Of course he is single." The mystery is gone and it has been replaced by a grim realization that Michael B. Jordan might just be the most difficult man in Hollywood to love. The corruption of his charm, the abuse of his influence, and the lavish spending to cover up his insecurities are all on full display. We are watching the slow-motion crash of a superstar who thought he could script his way into a happy ending without doing the actual work of being a partner. The fallout of this Hollywood disaster is now reaching a critical mass, and the consequences are starting to look like a total career meltdown. We are moving into Section 3, where we discuss the hypothetical legal actions and the massive public backlash that is threatening to topple the empire of Michael B. Jordan. The industry is buzzing with rumors of potential government probes into his production company's financial dealings and the way he manages his international investments. When you are a high-profile figure who spends like there is no tomorrow, the tax man eventually comes knocking, and word on the street is that a major financial audit is looming over his head like a dark cloud. The public backlash has reached a fever pitch, with hashtags calling for a boycott of his upcoming projects until he addresses the toxic environment he has created in his personal and professional circles. Fans are no longer just disappointed, they are actively angry. They feel cheated by the image of the wholesome hero that Michael has sold them for over a decade. Now that the curtain has been pulled back to reveal a man obsessed with control and image, the audience is turning its back. Social media influencers who once praised him are now making hour-long video essays deconstructing his every move and labeling him a cautionary tale of Hollywood greed. There is even talk of hypothetical resignations within his inner circle. Reports suggest that his top publicist and several long-term board members at Outlier Society are looking for the exit door before the ship completely sinks. They don't want their names attached to a brand that is becoming synonymous with isolation and ego-driven corruption. The tension in his office is said to be so thick you could cut it with a knife as employees wait for the next scandal to drop. This is the financial crisis of the soul that we talked about earlier, and it is manifesting as a real-world collapse of his professional support system. The investigative spotlight is now shining on his international soccer investment with AFC Bournemouth. Some financial analysts are questioning the legitimacy of the funding, and whether it was just a massive tax write-off to cover up his personal spending habits. If the government starts digging into those offshore accounts, Michael might find himself in a courtroom instead of a movie studio. The consequences of playing fast and loose with your legacy are finally catching up to him, and the public is watching with bated breath to see if he will be held accountable for the high-stakes game he has been playing. The pressure is causing Michael to make even more erratic decisions, which is only fueling the fire of the controversy. He has allegedly pulled out of several high-profile charity events at the last minute, fearing that he will be heckled by the very people who used to worship him. This isolation is no longer just a personal choice, it is a forced reality. He is becoming a pariah in the town that he once owned. The fallout is real, and the damage to his reputation might be permanent if he doesn't find a way to humble himself and fast. Imagine the tension at the next major award show where Michael will have to walk the carpet alone, while the world knows the truth about his silent treatment era. The public is anticipating a total freeze-out from his peers. Other actors are reportedly hesitant to sign on to projects with him because they don't want to be caught in the blast zone of his declining popularity. The financial implications of this are staggering as studios begin to reevaluate his bankability as a lead actor. If the fans aren't buying the romance, they aren't buying the movie tickets either. The hypothetical probes into his personal life are also extending to the way he uses his production company to silence former associates. There are whispers of hush money payments and heavy-handed legal threats used to keep people from speaking out about his behavior. If a whistleblower actually comes forward with hard evidence of these tactics, Michael could face a reckoning that would make the Lori Harvey breakup look like a minor inconvenience. The legal consequences of abusing power to protect a fake image are severe, and the walls are closing in. People are starting to wonder if a total rebranding is even possible at this point. How do you go back to being the golden boy when everyone has seen the rust underneath the paint? The consequences of his actions are creating a domino effect that is touching every part of his life, from his fitness endorsements to his gaming collaborations. Brands are reportedly looking at morality clauses in his contracts, wondering if his current reputation constitutes a breach of their partnership. This is the nightmare scenario for any celebrity, and Michael is living it in real time. The irony of the situation is not lost on anyone. The man who directed a movie about a fighter who loses everything and has to build himself back up is now facing that exact reality, but without a script to guide him. The public is not looking for a comeback story this time, they are looking for genuine accountability. They want to see him admit that he failed and that he let his ego ruin his chances at a normal life. But knowing Michael's track record, he will likely try to spin this into another cinematic moment, which will only make the backlash even worse. The fallout also includes a massive drop in his social media engagement. People are unfollowing him in droves, tired of the curated perfection and the lack of real substance. His Sexiest Man Alive title now feels like a sarcastic joke that people use to mock him in the comments. The financial crisis hitting his brand is a direct result of his inability to be authentic. The suspense is building toward a major public statement that many believe his team is currently drafting in a secret war room. Will he apologize? Will he blame the industry? Or will he continue to play the victim of his own success? Whatever the move is, it needs to be perfect because he is down to his last strike. The government investigations, the legal threats, and the public scorn have created a pressure cooker environment that is bound to explode sooner rather than ever. We have to consider the long-term impact on his legacy. Will he be remembered as a great actor or as the man who was too arrogant to be loved? The consequences of his choices are being written in stone as we speak. The fallout is not just about today, it is about how he will be viewed for decades to come. The industry is a cruel mistress, and once she turns her back on you, it is nearly impossible to win her heart again. Michael is learning this lesson the hard way, and the cost is his entire world. The investigative findings into his lonely lifestyle have revealed that it was never about being busy, it was always about being better than everyone else. That kind of competitive nature works in the gym, but it is toxic in a home. The public sees the selfishness now and they aren't willing to forgive it so easily. The fallout is a reflection of the energy he put out into the world, and that energy was one of exclusion and elitism. Now he is the one being excluded from the hearts of the fans. The final consequences might involve a complete withdrawal from the spotlight for a period of time. There are rumors that he is considering a hiatus to focus on his mental health, but many see this as a tactical retreat to wait for the storm to blow over. But the storm is not blowing over, it is gaining strength. The financial probes and the legal investigations will continue whether he is on screen or not. There is no hiding from the truth once it has been exposed to the light of day. As we wrap up this investigative deep dive into the crumbling empire of Michael B. Jordan, we are left with a clear picture of a man who had it all and let it go because he couldn't stop looking at his own shadow. The fallout is massive, the consequences are dire, and the future is looking incredibly bleak for Hollywood's former favorite son. The scandal is no longer a secret, it is a public record of a man who was ruined by the very fame and success he chased so relentlessly. So there you have it, the cold and lonely truth behind the golden mask of Michael B. Jordan. Is he a victim of a hollow industry, or is he the architect of his own isolation? We have laid out the evidence from the ghosted text to the corporate love contracts, but now the real jury is you. Do you think fame has officially turned Michael into a man who is impossible to love? Or is he just waiting for someone who can handle the weight of his crown? Is Lori Harvey really the one who got away, or was she just the first one to realize the prize wasn't worth the price? We want to hear your wildest theories down in the comments because we know you have thoughts on this Hollywood tragedy. Don't stay quiet because the truth only comes out when we start talking. Was it the Oscar that changed him, or was the ego always hiding there in plain sight? If you want more of these deep dives into the scandals and secrets that the elite try to bury, then you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on those notifications so you never miss a breaking truth from Rappers Beef. Make sure to smash that like button if you think Michael needs a reality check more than a movie deal. We are just getting started, and the next exposure is going to be even bigger. Stay sharp, stay skeptical, and we will see you in the next one.